This car gets used as a motor car on a virtual daily basis. When I first bought it, I drove it daily for 10 years. It was my only car and I drove it everywhere. Certainly I could go later on, we can go into some of the trips, but it's done 330,000 Ks. As I say, trouble-free. I wanted a driver's car. My father was a great driver. I've always loved driving. Started driving when I was 11. And I know from being in Europe on numerous occasions that these cars are really the best thing. I looked for about 5 years before I bought this car, and I saw a lot of cars. Most of them were imports, put together, bits and pieces, crap. So you've got to buy a car with history. It had logbooks in it. It had the same owner for 10 years on 2 occasions. So that meant to me that the car was still going well and had obviously been looked after. Then I investigated the mechanic that the car was being serviced by, and he did a special check on it when I was looking at buying it. And he ripped it to pieces and found whatever he found, which was all negligible, exhaust pipe, whatever, and I bought it. You look after it, it will look after you. The trick is the maintenance. What I love about it is that I've got a good mechanic. Now, Hamilton's are, to my mind, the best mechanics in Australia, looking after these cars. And he's been looking at this car for 20 years. So from the second owner, he looked after for 10 years, and then I've had it for, so he's had it for 30 years. With Autohaus, there was an original mechanic there by the name of Tim, and I got on very, very well with him. And basically, I will ring them up. Sometimes I'll ring me up and say, I haven't seen you for a while. And I'll ring them up and I'll just say it's due for a checkup. I just say checkup, because I don't just say don't do anything else, just do the oil or any of that stuff. I said, you know. And they check everything, light bulbs, every single time, as if they've never seen the car before. Now I ring him up and I'll say, look, Mick, when can you do it? And I say, you can have it for a week if you want, or 2 days, whatever you want. And they do that, and they go over this car. The reason that Tim was so special was that Tim wanted to buy this car when I bought it, and I got it first. And he looked after this car on the basis that it was his car, on the basis that I'd sell it eventually and he would buy it. But unfortunately, I still got it. He bought another one. Maintenance-wise, look, I won't put figures onto it, but what I bought it for and what I've put into it, I will get back. The car won't owe me any money and I won't make any money. But I've had a car for 25 years. Now, the trick is to love them. It gets washed, it gets cleaned, it doesn't get battered. If it gets a chip on it, I'll touch it up. It doesn't deteriorate. So it's still in the condition it was when it was built, because it's just been looked after, you know. I'd like to drive it hard. It is not a silly little noddy car. It looks like a noddy car, but no, it's meant to drive at 6,000 and 7,000. That's what it does, and I'll do that. Now, I don't necessarily drive it hard in low gears, but I do a lot of country driving and I'll drive it at high speed all the time. When I bought the car, I couldn't drive it. Now, I don't consider myself an ordinary driver, I consider myself a good driver, but this car is a unique vehicle and it does not drive like other cars. I had it for 6 months and I was not happy. I was almost ready to sell it. And someone said, take it out on the track. So I took it out to a track with a driver and a couple other people that were in a little group. Oran Park's one of those sorts of places. Now that guy taught me how to drive this car. It's not a normal car, it's a racing car, you know. Now you can drive it at 1,000 revs in 5th gear and it won't shudder or shake, but you want it to go, it'll just go like that. I can drive it from Sydney to Thredbo in 5th gear without ever changing gears, and I can overtake 5 trucks in 5th gear. But that's the sort of car it is. It just loves me and it loves the road. I had a mate who was with me at school. He was very keen on cars and he used to ride motorbikes, and his mother had a GT Cortina and stuff. We used to race them around the suburbs and the back of suburbs where they're doing developments and stuff. Anyway, he came down to my ski lodge one time and he was driving some little Mazda sporty thing or something. And cut a long story short, we went up the mountain from Jindabyne. We all met up in Jindabyne and we went up the mountain. He was behind me. Now the first section is sort of windy, but there's sort of 3 major turns and then another one. We got through the 3 turns and he's right on my back. I'm doing about 120 k's on a 65 curve, and he's pushing me, and I, you bastards, you know. So I kept on going. Well, it got 2/3 the way around the corner, and I thought, I'm dead, because this car will not do it. Anyway, I thought back to that race car track, and I just kept the foot down and kept on steering, and it just went, and I went. But look, yeah, it's been up as far as Townsville, it's been down as around the coast, it's been to Adelaide, it's been back up through the middle of Victoria and New South Wales, been Orange, it's been to Moree, you know, all those sorts of places. Just sometimes I just drive there and just drive back. You know, I might go for 2 days and stay in a hotel somewhere and then just drive home again. You know, because it's just so pleasant to drive. Never bought a brand new car in my life. I bought my daughter a brand new car, a little Polo, and it was a great little car, $17,000 cash. It killed him. He wanted 23, and I said, ah. Anyway, that was a great little car, but I've never owned a new car. No. My father never owned a new car. My idea of buying a new car is a waste of time too, because then if you buy a car that's a couple of years old, at least you know it's gone through the rattles and shakes, and you know anything major will have been sorted. I would, funnily enough, without thinking too much, I've had so many great times, but my mother was a very strange woman, but she loved this car and she made me promise never to sell it. She said, this is the most beautiful car. She wanted a Carmen Ghia. I ended up buying her one, but she loved this car. Anyway, the best trip I did was that she was in her 80s. I put her on a plane to Melbourne and I drove down the coast, picked her up to the airport in Melbourne, and I drove her to Adelaide where she was born. And we went all down through there, and she died fairly soon after that. But we did a lot of those little trips, and we'd go to Berry for a weekend, or we'd go like that, and she was happy. And to me that was bonus, to make her happy, you know. And there's a million stories, but that's probably the best one, So I reckon a good all-rounder. Perfect. A survivor. This car is a survivor. Just like me. Thank you, sir. Nice to meet you.